young guy that needed a kidney transplant. His father wanted to save his life so much, so he put advertising in the newspapers to see if there is someone that is ready to donate his kidney. After looking for a long time, they finally find the right match. The donor called up the father and he says, "I'm willing to donate my kidney in order to save your son's life." The excitement was so big, and right away they made a date for operation. 3 days before the operation, the donor calls up the father and he says, "I want to apologize, but I will not be able to donate your son the kidney." And when the question came, why, he says, "My father warned me that I should not give your son a kidney." When he asked him, is it because he's afraid of the medical situation that will come out of it? I'm willing to bring him the medical team to explain him that he has nothing to worry. And the donor says, "I don't think this is the problem, but I think you should speak to my father. I don't believe that something will come out because he's very strong about it, but talk to him." He calls up the father, and as soon as he's saying his name, his father hangs up the telephone. He calls a second time, and he hangs up the phone a second time. And when it came a third time, the father says to him, "Listen, I will never allow my son to donate the kidneys to you." And he hanged up the telephone. He decided that maybe the only way that it's going to work if I go meet him face to face. He went, he knocks on the door, and as soon as the father sees him by the door, he slams the door on his face. 5 minutes later, he says, "Let me try once again." And he slams the door again. And when a third time later on, by the day he came again, he put his foot, he says, "I will leave. But please have the dignity and tell me, why wouldn't you let your son donate the kidneys to me, his kidney?" And the father starts screaming and says, "Do you think I don't remember you? Do you think I'm dumb? Do you think I don't remember that you were a capo in Auschwitz? Your face I will never forget. I walked with my son that he was 14 years old, and suddenly the capo, one of the SS officers came in, and he told you, take this child to the gas chamber, and you, instead to fight for my son, maybe you would live your life, you lose your life, you took my son." And this was the very day that it was the last time that I saw my son, because they killed my son. You did not have mercy on my son? You want me to have mercy on your son? Get away! And the father said, the father of the sick young man replies and says, "Let me tell you the end of the story. I did what the SS told me. I took your son out, but I couldn't take him to the gas chamber. I took him and I hid him in a attic that I had access to. And every single day, from that day on, I used to come quietly and bring your son some food till the end of the war. It came the end of the war, I was looking for you to give you back your son. But I thought that happened to you what happened to the 6 million Jews. I was looking for someone from the family, but I couldn't find him. And now, I want to tell you, this is not my son that needs the kidney. It's your son that needs the kidney. And therefore, The reason why it's matching, because he is a brother. You cannot imagine the excitement and the emotion and the tears that was in that room in that moment. This parsha that we're reading this week is going to be Parshat Bo. The Torah tells us about one of the last plagues, the darkness. The Torah describes how strong was the darkness. The darkness was so strong that the Mitzrim couldn't get up from the place. As the Medrash says, anybody that stood couldn't sit down, and whoever was sitting couldn't stand up. I was by the Jewish people, the Torah describes, Ulechol bnei Yisrael haya or b'moshvotam. To the entire Jewish people, it was light. And the lesson to us, what happened to it afterward? Afterward, they went into the Egyptian. They saw the gold and the silver. That later on, when they came and claimed, give me some gold, they knew to say, I saw it in that place, don't tell me you don't have it. And they came out with gold and silver from Egypt because of this darkness. And the lesson to us, sometimes we have a time of darkness in our life, but in that darkness, Hashem gives us light. Like we see by the story with the kidney transplant. It was so scary. It was so scary that this young man is about to lose his life. But because they find the match, and the match end up to be his brother, it was so much light to this family that finally, after such a terrible Holocaust, the family was reunited again. It was light, or b'moshvotam, it was light in this family. And I want to conclude by saying, there is a letter from the Lubavitcher Rebbe that he writes about the terrible Holocaust, the tragedy that the Jewish people had in the previous generation. And he said a story about himself, a private story. He says, from the day I went to Cheder, I went to school in my young age, I started to imagine in my mind how will it look in the time of the redemption. There will be such a redemption that we will understand all the pain and the suffering that the Jewish people had so much. Like the prophet Yeshaya tells us, Otcha Hashem ki anaftabi. Thank you, Hashem. Ki anaftabi means they got me such pain and anger. Why? In other words, it was worth to suffer for having such a redemption. And this should be a lesson to us. Sometimes we're going through very hard times in our life, but we are praying, we are wishing to ourselves that we should have such a redemption in our private lives. So good will be afterward that we'll say, it was worth the suffering for such a redemption. Shabbat Shalom.